the 3 a.m. wake up, what your body is actually trying to tell you. If you're a woman between 40 and 60, I'm willing to bet you know exactly what 3 a.m. looks like. You know, the feeling of being suddenly completely awake, heart pounding, mind racing, staring at the ceiling, wondering if you'll ever sleep again. You know, the panic of watching the minutes tick by 3:15, 3:30, 3:45, knowing you have to be up in 2 hours and you're completely wired. You know the exhaustion the next day, the brain fog, the reaching for coffee just to function, the dread as bedtime approaches because you know it's going to happen again. And you know the dismissive response when you tell your doctor, it's just menopause, it's hormones. Try melatonin, maybe Ambien. I'm Eve, and I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner specializing in women's health and transformation. And I'm here to tell you something your doctor probably didn't. The 3 a.m. wake up is not random. It's not just hormones you have to suffer through. And it's completely addressable. There are specific, identifiable mechanisms causing you to wake at 3 a.m. And once you understand what they are, the solution becomes obvious. So today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what's happening in your body when you wake at 3 a.m. and what to do about it. So let's start with the question everyone asks. Why 3 a.m.? Why not 2 or 4 or 5? Why is it always 3 a.m.? And there is a reason, and it starts 5,000 years ago. In Ayurvedic medicine, we understand time differently than Western medicine does. The 24-hour day is divided into 6 4-hour periods, each governed by a different dosha, a different quality of energy. And understanding this clock will explain more about your sleep than any sleep study ever could. Here's how it breaks down. 4 to 6 a.m., Vata time. Air and space element is active. Light, clear, mobile. This is when mystics wake to meditate. Your mind is naturally clearer if you slept well. 6 to 10 a.m., Kapha time. Earth and water elements, heavy, sluggish, dull. If you sleep through Vata time and wake during Kapha time, say 8 or 9, you feel groggy, even if you slept enough hours. This is why sleeping late makes you feel worse, not better. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Pitta time, fire element. Your digestive fire is strongest. This is when you should eat your biggest meal, not dinner, lunch. 2 to 6 p.m., Vata time again, creative, lighter, mobile. 6 to 10 p.m., Kapha time, slow, heavy, winding down. Your body naturally slows down for sleep. And here's the one that matters most for understanding the 3 a.m. wake up. 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Pitta time. Pitta is transformation, metabolism, fire. And during these 4 hours while you're asleep, your body should be doing some of its most important work. Your liver is detoxifying, processing everything from the day. Your cells are repairing and regenerating. Your endocrine system is regulating and metabolizing hormones. Your mind is processing emotions through REM sleep and deep sleep and dreams. This is deep repair time. But, and this is critical, you need to be asleep for this to happen. If you're awake, during Pitta time, if you stay up past midnight, if you wake at 1 a.m., you experience that fire as mental activity, thoughts, planning, problem solving. The transformational fire that should be directed inward for repair is now burning outward through your mind. Now, at 2 a.m., we shift from Pitta to Vata time. 2 to 6 a.m. is Vata, air, space, movement. This is the natural pre-waking time. So your sleep gets lighter. Your mind becomes more active. And this is why you wake at 3 a.m. specifically. You're waking at the transition between Pitta and Vata time. If your system is dysregulated, if the Pitta work wasn't completed, if your liver is overwhelmed, if you're still digesting food, the transition itself can wake you. And then you're stuck in Vata time with aggravated Vata, anxiety, racing mind, scattered thoughts, inability to settle. The fire didn't finish its work, and now the air is swirling with nowhere to ground. This is your first clue to why it's always 3 a.m. But there's more happening, so let's go deeper. Now let's talk about what's happening with your hormones, because this isn't just about ancient wisdom and time cycles. This is about your endocrine system in complete chaos. Let's start with estrogen. Estrogen does several critical things for sleep. First, it regulates your body temperature through the hypothalamus, that part of your brain that's supposed to keep you at a stable temperature. Second, it supports REM sleep. That's your dream stage, your emotional processing stage. And third, it helps produce serotonin, which later converts to melatonin, your sleep hormone. So when estrogen declines or fluctuates wildly, which is what's happening in perimenopause, several things go wrong simultaneously. Temperature regulation fails. You get hot flashes and night sweats. REM sleep becomes fragmented. You wake more easily. Less serotonin means less melatonin, which means lighter, more disrupted sleep overall. Now add progesterone to this picture. Progesterone is your natural sedative. It has a GABA enhancing effect on your brain. GABA is your primary calming neurotransmitter. Progesterone literally makes you sleepy. This is why in a normal menstrual cycle, women sleep better in the second half when progesterone is high. But in perimenopause, progesterone often drops first, and it drops hard. When progesterone is low, you lose that natural sedative effect. Sleep becomes lighter. It's easier to wake, harder to fall back asleep. Anxiety increases because you have less GABA support. So you've got less estrogen causing temperature problems and lighter sleep, and less progesterone causing anxiety and loss of that calming effect. It's a perfect storm. But here's what makes perimenopause so uniquely brutal compared to postmenopause. These hormones aren't just low, they're fluctuating wildly and unpredictably. One night, estrogen might be relatively normal. The next night, it's crashed. Progesterone spikes, then plummets. Your body can't predict anything. It can't stabilize. It can't find a rhythm. And this unpredictability is what absolutely wrecks your sleep. But wait, we need to talk about cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone produced by your adrenal glands, and it might be the biggest player in your 3 a.m. wake up. In a healthy, regulated system, cortisol follows a very predictable rhythm. It's at its lowest point at night from about 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's when cortisol should be rock bottom. Then it begins a gentle rise around 3 to 4 a.m. And it peaks around 8 a.m. And this peak is what naturally wakes you up and gives you energy for the day. Then it declines gradually through the day and drops again at night to prepare you for sleep. This is called the cortisol awakening response, and it's completely normal and healthy. But in perimenopause, this rhythm gets destroyed. And here's why. So when estrogen and progesterone are low or fluctuating, your adrenal glands try to help. They attempt to produce some sex hormones to make up for what the ovaries aren't producing anymore. This puts enormous stress on your adrenals. They're working overtime. They're getting exhausted. And this throws off cortisol production. So instead of cortisol being low at night like it should be, it can spike. And that spike often happens right around 3 a.m. Let's talk about what a cortisol spike at 3 a.m. feels like, because I know you know this feeling. It's sudden, complete wakefulness, not gradual. You're just awake. Racing heart, pounding pulse, anxiety, a sense of dread for no reason. Your mind immediately starts spiraling, worrying, catastrophizing, making problems out of nothing. You feel wired despite being exhausted. It's not insomnia in the traditional sense. This isn't your mind being overreactive. This is a stress hormone surge, literally waking you up and keeping you alert. And you can't just relax and go back to sleep. Cortisol is designed to wake you and keep you awake. It's the get up and run from the tiger hormone. The problem here, of course, is there's no tiger. So your adrenals just don't know what else to do. They're dysregulated, exhausted, and firing at the wrong time. And what makes this even worse is that each night of poor sleep further dysregulates your cortisol. So tonight, you wake at 3 a.m. from a cortisol spike. Tomorrow, you're exhausted all day. Your cortisol is elevated during the day from stress. That night, your cortisol is even more likely to spike at the wrong time. You wake at 3 a.m. again. It's a vicious cycle, and it feeds on itself. But we're not done yet. There's another mechanism you need to understand. Let me tell you about what happened to one of my clients. We'll call her Sarah. Sarah would wake every night at 3 a.m. with what she described as a panic attack. Heart pounding, sense of dread, couldn't catch her breath. She'd been to the ER twice thinking she was having a heart attack. Her doctor gave her Xanax for anxiety. But when I asked her about her dinner habits, here's what I learned. She typically ate dinner around 8 p.m., sometimes as late as 9 p.m. if she worked late. Dinner was often pasta or pizza or takeout, carb heavy, eaten quickly. She'd have a glass or two of wine with dinner. Then she'd have something sweet before bed, ice cream, cookies, wake at 3 a.m. in a panic. She thought it was anxiety. Her doctor thought it was anxiety, but it wasn't anxiety at all. It was a blood sugar crash. Here's what was happening. Your blood sugar naturally reaches its lowest point around 3 to 4 a.m. This is normal. Your body should handle this smoothly while you sleep. But when you eat late, especially if you eat a lot of carbs or sugar late, your blood sugar spikes high before bed. Then, while you're sleeping, it crashes. And when your blood sugar drops too low, when your body thinks you're starving, it releases emergency hormones to raise it back up. Cortisol, adrenaline, glucagon. These are stress hormones, and they wake you up. What Sarah was experiencing wasn't a panic attack. It was her body releasing adrenaline and cortisol to save her from what it perceived as dangerously low blood sugar. The shaking, the pounding heart, the sense of panic. These are all systems of a blood sugar crash triggering a stress response. And this is incredibly common in perimenopause because insulin sensitivity changes. Your body doesn't regulate blood sugar as efficiently as it used to. So if you're eating late, eating a lot of carbs, having wine before bed, you're setting yourself up for a 3 a.m. blood sugar crash and cortisol dump. So here's what we did for Sarah. We moved her dinner to 6:30 p.m. We made it lighter, more vegetables, protein, healthy fats, less refined carbs. We cut out the dessert happening later, and we added it right to the end of the meal, so it was part of the meal, and brought the wine from a couple glasses to 1 glass with dinner. And then just before bed, we added a small handful of almonds, and no sugar, no sugared almonds, but just almonds, fat and protein. And then within 3 days, the 3 a.m. panic wake-ups stopped. Not anxiety medication, not sleep aids, just stabilizing her blood sugar through meal timing and composition. This is not theoretical. This is one of the primary mechanisms of the 3 a.m. wake-up, and it's completely preventable. So now you understand what's actually happening when you wake at 3 a.m. It's not one thing, it's multiple systems dysregulating simultaneously. The Ayurvedic clock, waking at the Pitta to Vata transition, fluctuating estrogen and progesterone, disrupting sleep, cortisol spiking at the wrong time from adrenal stress, blood sugar crashing and triggering stress hormones, silent hot flashes fragmenting your sleep all night. All of this is happening at once, and no wonder you can't sleep. Here's the thing, all these mechanisms can be addressed. Not with medication, though medication definitely has its place. I'm not anti-medication, but with specific targeted practices that support each of these systems. So let me give you that framework. For the circadian rhythm, the Ayurvedic clock disruption, eat dinner early by 6:30 or 7 at the latest. Make it light, warm, cooked, not raw, no raw salads, and something easy to digest. And then close your kitchen after dinner. No snacking unless it's a piece of fruit, which is easy to digest, or those almonds, which will satiate. And then get in bed and asleep before 10 p.m. so you are asleep during pitta repair time. And then wake before 6 a.m. So you're in that 4 to 6 magic time, in vata time, when waking is natural. And get morning sunlight. This resets your entire circadian clock. And then for hormone fluctuations, Abhyanga, the daily self-oil massage that calms the nervous system, supports your endocrine system. Herbs like curry and ashwagandha support hormone production and reduce your stress. And then there's ojas building foods, dates, almonds, ghee, warm milk. These nourish your depleted tissues. And then again, for cortisol dysregulation, that morning sunlight, it resets cortisol so it peaks when it should, which is morning, not 3 a.m. And then evening pranayama, breath work, that signals to your nervous system to shift into rest mode. And then that ashwagandha I mentioned, it's an adaptogen, which literally helps your adrenals respond to stress more effectively. And then for blood sugar crashes, that early dinner with protein, healthy fats, complex carbs, vegetables, no sugar or alcohol close to bedtime. If you're actually hungry before bed, a small amount of nuts or a piece of fruit or warm milk with herbs is ideal. And then for temperature regulation, for hot flashes, there are specific pranayamas, left nostril breathing that activates your cooling channel, or abhyanga with coconut oil, regulates temperature through the skin, or sesame oil. Reducing pitta aggravating foods and activities. So notice what I'm saying. I'm not just saying relax, just relax. I'm not saying drink chamomile tea and hope for the best. I'm not saying wait it out until menopause is over. I'm giving you specific practices that address specific mechanisms. And this is not wellness fluff, right? This is not trendy. Although many ancient Ayurvedic practices and healing methods have become recent trends. And what I see is they do not give the credit to this ancient 5,000 to 8,000 year old science. That's okay. But this is an entire science that's over 5,000 years old and has worked for over 5,000 years. So it's not something that's just being pushed by an influencer. This is applied physiology using techniques that work. And the beautiful thing is these practices support each other. They're synergistic. So when you eat early and light, your blood sugar stabilizes and your liver can do its hormone work and you sleep deeper. When you do morning sunlight, your cortisol rhythm resets and your melatonin production improves and your hot flashes reduce. When you do abhyanga, your nervous system calms and your temperature regulates and your hormone receptors become more sensitive. It all works together. And when you do all of these practices consistently, not perfectly, but consistently, your sleep transforms. Not overnight, but within days to weeks, you notice you're waking less often at 3 a.m. When you do wake, you can fall back asleep. You're sleeping deeper. You wake before your alarm feeling rested. Your mind is clearer during the day. Your anxiety is less because you're not fighting your body anymore. You're working with it. So here's what I want you to take away from this. The 3 a.m. wake up is not a curse you have to endure. It's not just hormones with no solution. It's not in your head. It's your body asking, no, begging for specific support. And when you give your body what it's asking for, it responds. So if you're struggling with 3 a.m. wake ups, begin here. Tonight, eat dinner by 6:30 p.m. Make it light, warm, easy to digest, then close your kitchen. No snacking. Go to bed before 10 p.m. Tomorrow morning, get outside in the sunlight within 30 minutes of waking, even for just a minute. Do this for 3 nights and see what changes. I teach all of these practices in depth in my course, The Second Fire. It's a 3-month program specifically for women going through this transition. We build the complete routine that supports every one of these mechanisms. But you can start right now with just these basics. Your body knows how to sleep. It knows how to regulate. It knows how to heal. It just needs the right conditions. Give it those conditions. And the 3 a.m. wake ups will become a memory instead of your reality. I'm Eve. Thank you for listening.